Welcome everyone to a Tuesday edition of Texas Rangers Daily. I'm in a good mood. I got my cat shirt, cat's back, and we have a new sign. A new sign says, change is good. Change is good. That's what today is going to be about. It's going to be about change. Well, a couple of things are going to be about change. In fact, we're going to have a positive spin talking about why the change in the Texas Rangers management and possibly a lot of the play style and people on the team is a really good thing. We will also be going on a top 5 mission. Top 5 is going to be a new segment we'll do every now and then. Top 5 offensive needs for this lineup. We got some bad moves to talk about that the Texas Rangers did this year. Not big ones either. These are going to be under the radar moves, but we're going to start out talking about this man right here. Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham might be a Texas Rangers next year. Scott Roche of Sports Illustrated is mentioning that the Yankee center fielder may not re-sign with the Yankees. That would be a really good thing for the Rangers because the Rangers need a power bat and they need a center fielder. He would, fill both of those roles. Trent Grisham, he's only making, a couple $1 million this year. He wants to make about $12.1 million per year, according to Sports Illustrated. He hit 33 home runs, 74 RBIs, and scored 87 runs in 143 games. The Yankees want him back. And if you look at him, he looks like a Yankee. He definitely has a look. He was a Padre at one point in time as well. He is the type of player that the Rangers are missing, a guy in the middle of the order that can hit 30 home runs. They didn't have a 30 home run hitter this year. They needed some guy with some power, somebody who can play the outfield pretty well. That's both Trent Grisham can do. Take over for a guy like Haggerty, since you're not having Evan Carter because he's always hurt, might be a good thing. So he's been mentioned to the Rangers before too, so this is not the first time that Trent has been bandied about when it comes to being a Texas Ranger. Speaking of bandy, we're going to bandy right along here, talk about a few moves that the Rangers did this past year that might have not been the best. My handy-dandy notebook's back right here. I found a list of a few different transactions like Jock Peterson signing, Phil Maton, that trade, Merrill Kelly, a couple of those things. But these two right here did not get talked about a lot and could have saved us a couple of things. So not promoting Adrian Hauser, which is right over here, Adrian Hauser. He was a pitcher. He signed to a minor league deal in the spring. Didn't make the club. In fact, when the Rangers needed pitching, they signed Patrick Corbin instead of bringing up Adrian Hauser after spring training. And he ended up going 6-2 with the White Sox with a 2.10 ERA. Pretty good when 11 starts. That could have been, and it kind of changed a little bit whenever he went to the Nationals, I believe. Didn't really go as well. But here's the thing. The Rangers needed some buffer between the way Kumar Rocker was pitching and the fact that they didn't have a guy to replace him in the minor leagues. Adrian Hauser could have been that guy. He's not like a spring chicken or anything like that, so we're not really looking for the future with him, but he could have been a stopgap while, Kumar got himself together. And then it's designating for assignment Blaine Krim. Blaine Krim, a first baseman in the Rangers organization, has, he did very well in a bunch of different levels for the Rangers, but he kept getting placed behind somebody else. At first it was Nate Lowe, and then now is Jake Berger. So they DFA'd him. And he ended up hitting in Colorado, which, again, if you're thinking about it, Adrian Hauser with the White Sox, terrible. This guy went to Colorado, terrible. So, they got their chances because they went to bad teams. But in September, he slashed 241, 295, and 556. The Rangers could have used anybody with that slash line the last month of the season. And honestly, it just would have been another body to be able to put in there, kind of like a Sam Haggerty, where you didn't know what you're going to get. He could have been a part of that Little Rascals group at the end of the season, and with him being a little bit more of a seasoned vet, kind of like, the Rangers needed at the time, it really would have been an effective player, especially when Jake Berger was struggling, too. They could have really used him. So those are just two of the moves that, in hindsight, the Rangers might look back on and go, oh, man, I kind of wish we would have had that back. We would have had a chance to bring Adrian Hauser in. I think the Rangers would bring Adrian Hauser in. Speaking of moves and bringing people in, there's Jock Peterson right there. We just spoke about him. I have a top 5 here, a brilliant top 5, if I do say so myself. And if you don't think this is a brilliant top 5, like, subscribe, and most of all, comment down below and tell me that these are not the 5 things that the Rangers should be looking for to fill out their lineup. Number 5. Has nothing to do with the lineup. It's an established closer. That'll help so much if you get an established closer. And I'm not talking about the potential. Potential needs to be the last thing on anyone's mind when it comes to rebuilding this bullpen. They need veterans. They need guys who are proven guys, and they need a proven, established closer. That has to happen. And if that doesn't happen, I will consider the offseason a failure from the get-go. Number 4, a leadoff hitter who can actually hit from both sides of the plate, or at least hit lefties and righties. I'm not in on the platoon leadoff hitter anymore. I think we found out that, Josh Smith and Sam Haggerty, while it was kind of, fun at a time, I think the idea of having an established leadoff hitter, in fact, when the Rangers were really rocking and rolling in that 2023 season, you knew who your top 4 in the order were. And so it was Marcus Semien, it was Corey Seager, and it was Nate Lowe, and then it was Adolis Garcia. That was going to be your top 4 in the order pretty much every single day. And I think the Rangers need to come back to that. Establish a good leadoff hitter that doesn't have to platoon out. I'm all for that. Number 3. Again, sorry, not to do with the lineup, but it will help out. Number 3 is secure a number 3, a full-time number 3 starter, like you had with Tyler Mahle this year, except not Tyler Mahle. Either make sure that Jack Leiter is for sure in that role. Sign somebody else. Let somebody else, get an opportunity. Maybe Latz is that guy. I don't really know, but what I do know is that Nathan Eovaldi will get hurt next year. It's just a fact of life. So your number 3 needs to be able to be your number 2. And so you need to establish that very, very early. This is the guy, and he's the guy for a reason. Not just because you want him to be, because he earns the spot. And then, number 2, they need a high on-base outfielder. Maybe it's Trent Grisham. Maybe it is somebody else, but they need somebody in that center field or left field role, because you might move Wyatt around, either the center field, the right field, or keep him in left. They need somebody in that outfield that's high on base. They need somebody who's scoring runs out in that outfield, because besides Wyatt, you had a black hole in Adolis. You had a revolving door in center field, and basically it was just Wyatt Langford out there in left field. There's no Evan Carter for a lot. Leote was terrible when he was here. It was just not really the outfield, besides defensive-wise, which was really, really good, hit terribly. So we need to pick up that pace. If you look at all the outfields in the ALCS and NLCS, they're all good hitters. And then finally, you need a slugging first baseman or DH. And tomorrow I'm going to go further into position-wise why the Rangers struggled this year. We're going to talk about first base and DH tomorrow and how they were just kind of vacuums in the lineup and just sucked out all of the good vibes whenever they would come up. And, that's a little bit of Jake Berger. That's a lot of Jock Peterson. That's a little bit of Rowdy Tellez. That's a little bit of Josh Smith, too. So lots of things that could be had done differently this year for the Texas Rangers. And tomorrow we'll actually go over a few of the numbers from last year and show you why the first base and DH was the biggest problem spot. And finally, we're going to take a little bit of a positive spin here because we've been kind of negative a little lately, so we need to have a little positive spin. And this is why change is good, all right? So Skip, Chris Young, all those guys, they are going to try to build the best for the Rangers, right? So the whole idea with Skip Schumacher being here is a fresh mind. And if you go back in the history of the Rangers when it comes to their managerial, bringing in new managers, there hasn't been a big history of people with pedigree wanting to come to the Rangers. It's a lot of first-time managers, a lot of reconciliation projects, like Buck Showalter is a example of that, where, it was a guy who probably needed to rebuild his image more than anything coming to the Rangers and did a good job. Excuse me. and set it up for Ron Washington. But yeah, so that didn't really work out the way that it wanted for him. Ron got a chance, did pretty well, but he wasn't an established name in managerial circles. Bochy was the only one so far that had this like pedigree to come here and actually establish himself, as a Hall of Fame worthy manager coming to the Rangers. Everything else, Chris Woodward, Bruce Bannister, or Jeff Bannister, Bruce Bannister, that's the whole, but no, Jeff Bannister, Jerry Narron. There's so many Ranger managers in the past that haven't had this fresh mind feel or this almost like excitement because they're new, and we have that with Skip, and I think that's a good thing. Let me explain why. Every team around the Rangers kind of has that new feeling too. The Cowboys, they have Brian Schottenheimer. The Stars, Gullickson. They brought back Gullickson. And then the Mavericks, their fresh new start, no Luka, but Cooper Flagg. So the Rangers, if they would have stayed, status quo, they might have fallen back into the pack when it comes to the mindsets of the DFW fan because, well, everything else is fresh and new. Everything else is shiny. We have, excitement here, excitement there, excitement everywhere. But the Rangers, if they would have stayed exactly where they were, there's nothing worse than that mediocrity treadmill. And that's where they would have been on, at least in the mindset of the DFW fan, because every other team around them is making the moves or making the process go a little bit faster to have some improvement. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe Cooper Flagg is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Maybe he's not. Maybe Greg Gullickson finally gets the Stars over the hump and into the Stanley Cup Finals and win the Finals. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Brian Schottenheimer contains all the madness that comes around about being a Dallas Cowboys head coach and actually gets them, to the NFC Championship. Maybe not. But all of that has hope because it's all new. And I'm glad the Rangers went ahead and took the new route because now Skip Schumacher has a chance to not only breathe new life into a team that just recently won a championship. In fact, the team that most recently won a championship in the area. Breathe new life, but also keep the same kind of good vibe feeling built in 2023. And that right there is a positive thing. And this has been a positive spin. This has been Texas Rangers Daily with me, Positive C, and Max the Kitty. Tomorrow we will go over more number stuff. Tomorrow's going to be a number Wednesday, a wacky Wednesday. I have my cat shirt on today. We'll put on flamingos tomorrow because we're going to do some math. All right, guys. Thank you for fan art. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Texas Rangers Daily. I'm Chris with a Positive C. See you tomorrow. Monowea and stay gold, Pony Boy.